Probably looking at my eye.
Hello, racing fans. Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining me for the start of Season 17 of GT Americas, presented by Odyssey Racing League. Quick little housekeeping to get out of the way. We do have GT Americas Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do also hold a GT Europe series on Sundays at 7 p.m. Central European Standard Time. And right after this, after GT Americas, we do have GT Americas After Hours, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And a quick sneak peek at Season 17 Round 1. We are in South Africa at Kyalami. Next week, we will be at Imola. The week after that, Watkins Glen. Then we will travel over to France for Paul Ricard. Take a quick trip to England for Donington Park. And then finish off our final round at Spa. Now to go more into our track for today, it is Kyalami. Kyalami, translated from Zulu, is roughly translated to my home. 16 turns, 4.5 kilometers, 2.8 miles. As we can see, it is a counterclockwise track, so we're going to be going left. It's going to be lots of left turns. 3 different sectors. And a lot of places to battle here. Great overtaking spots would be turn 1, turn 4, that sunset turn, and maybe even there at Clubhouse coming out of the exit. Now enough with the housekeeping, let's get on with qualifying. We are on board with the number 85 Nissan, driven by John Malo. With a nice Godzilla livery as well. Is that 2000s Godzilla? That better not be 2000s Godzilla. Okay, in case y'all didn't know, there was a movie that came out the year 2000. Literally, it was Godzilla. It was with Matthew Broderick, and I can't remember who the actress was. But that's like regarded as like one of the worst Godzilla movies ever. However, I found it kind of charming, so I kind of like the movie. So it's very decisive. People either really like it or they really hate it. We do have a little bit of a difference in qualifying from last season. This season, we do have a 15-minute total qualifying. So we do have something that we like to call shotgun qualifying here at Odyssey Racing League, which means that the drivers are only going to be allowed to do 2, maybe 3 fast laps before they are kicked off the grid and the Pro and Am drivers are allowed to take their turn. As we do see the Godzilla King of the Monsters Nissan GTR coming through the final turn and crossing the finish line. Does John improve their time? They do not. John Malo, 145.907 for the Godzilla. Let's move on up a little bit more. And we do see Alex Cruz in the number 12 Honda. That's my favorite number. Go Alex, that's my favorite number. You can do it. In P3 overall right now for the rookies, 142.382 for Alex. Couple of new names as well here on the tree to our left side. You see their number plates we have 3 distinct colors behind the number plates, either red, silver, or white. Red number plated drivers are our rookies here at Odyssey Racing League. Silver plated drivers are our amateurs or silver drivers. Excuse me, the red ones are bronze, so bronze or rookie. Silver would be silver or amateur. And then the white backgrounds are the pro drivers or our gold/platinum drivers. I say both because some people do like to stay with the metal colors and just the way of saying it that way instead of saying like pro am rookie. As we do see the rookies cross the finish line and return to garage, ending their final lap. Move over to the 999 Aston Martin, driven by Miguel Cizeron for CZ Racing Team. 7 minutes, 33 seconds left in qualifying. I do believe that means that the pros and AMs are going to start lining up and getting ready to bust out of the pit lane. As we do look to the top of the standings for the rookies, Michael Moleta, 141.777 for him in the number 72 McLaren. So that puts him in a relatively comfortable lead and provisional pole, as well as leading the rookies. Right under him, Alex Cruz in the number 12 Honda, able to improve their time now, 142.020 for Alex. And to round off your rookie podium, that'll be Adam Turaj with a 142.120 as well in the number 271 Aston Martin. So new manufacturers as well on the grid. It's been an interesting sitting here seeing more Aston Martins joining the grid, some Nissans as well, which I really missed seeing on the grid. Such a great, amazing car. As it does look like the qualifying times for the rookies is over, and we hear the roaring of the engines of the pros and AMs screaming past the first 5 to 6 turns so that they can get out on track and start their qualifying. Moving over to the number 66 Porsche and Richard Harknett for Odyssey Racing League in that very beautiful orange and blue livery. The Odyssey Racing livery here on display for you. And you too can race in this livery. you join us on discord.gg/Odyssey Racing League. You can grab the link. We do have some drivers to watch out for in the pros in the AMs, specifically our AM winner from last season, season 16. The winner was Rob Brochta. He is out on the grid right now, so we're going to be keeping an eye on him, as well as Jag Flores in the number 34 Audi this time, instead of, I believe he was in the McLaren for season 16. But now season 17, moving on over to the Audi. Jag Flores, the P2 overall standing winners for the rookies, moving on up to silver. It does look like the number 756 Aston Martin, driven by Nicolas Mendez, is going to be your first driver to cross the finish line with a valid time. So we're going to be keeping an eye on Nicolas, because he has an incredibly empty track in front of him, unless he catches up to the single file line that's starting to form up at the last turn there. But it does look like the 756 will get there before the drivers vacate the final turn, as we do see. Yeah, so the 756 coming out of turns 10 and 11, known as Le Cop, coming down now into the fast left-hander of Mineshaft and up the Crocodiles. And then the quick right-hander known as Cheetah, before you get to the final turn, turn 16, Ingwe. Crossing the finish line, our first driver to the lead. Nicolas Mendez goes, the number 756 Aston Martin, 141.312 for him. However, we still have a bunch of other drivers that are now starting to cross the finish line, and they're going to start populating that time board there on the left. Clayton Filsinger right under Nicolas, but Chase Jones throwing himself in the front. Andrew Rados as well in the Honda machinery, the number 82 Honda to be exact, gets even a quicker time than Chase Jones. Andrew Rados up half a second by the looks of it, 0.5, so that Andrew Rados 140.805 for him. Chase Jones a 141.310 for them. Chase Jones in the number 109 Aston Martin, able to beat out Nicolas Mendez, the number 756 Aston Martin, in the same machinery. And speaking about same machinery, here at Odyssey Racing League, we do now have a new internal BOP that we have, and we're going to start using this season as well. And hopefully this internal BOP that we have created will help bring the grid closer, as we do see new cars in the lead, specifically because if I do remember correctly, last season it was a lot of Porsches and a lot of McLarens in the lead. We're still on board Chase Jones for Baller Squad Racing, the number 109 Aston Martin, being held up by a little bit of traffic in front of him. The BMW, that's number 987 BMW of Carl Banning, also trying to get a lap in. Carl Banning in P11 overall. That puts him in the lead for the silver drivers, for the amateur drivers. And if he's on a valid lap, he does not have to get out of the way. Chase Jones maybe doing the smart moving, using him as a slipstream to get a better time here. Chase Jones actually electing to finish their lap. Chase Jones still P2. Andrew Rados in the provisional lead. Clayton Filsinger moving up and still in P3. The number 615 Porsche now in 141.247 for him. There are so many drivers to watch out for here in the Pro and Am standings. A lot of them are so quick and times relatively close to each other. It usually just depends on who makes the first mistake here within the top 5 to even 6 drivers I want to say, are so close within their times. We are missing one driver in Timothy Jarubal, who was the P3 Pro winner last year. So for pros, he was P3. He did not make it for the season opener here, but we do have the P1 leader, I believe. No, as well, our leader from last, or our winner from last season for the pros, Tyler Carr, not making the season opener as well. We do have the number 11 Ferrari in Luke Lizama, not able to set a time yet. Actually, as he crosses the checkered flag with the timer hitting fat zeros, Luke Lizama able to push his way up, all the way up into P2, so close to P1, only 0.2 of a second, or 0.6 of a second off, excuse me. So Luke Lizama, the number 11 Ferrari, able to scream his way all the way up into P2 with a 141.037. So Luke Lizama wasn't able to get a good time there at the beginning. It looked like he was struggling just in traffic, but was able to pull it off there at the end. Nicolas Mendez as well improving their time, 141.115. So that pushes Clayton Filsinger out of the top 3, as well as Chase Jones out of the top 3, and that pushes them down out of the podium. So a couple of drivers finishing up their times. Zach Schneider for Noobs R Us, the number 15 Aston Martin. P34 overall, however, across the finish line. Where does that put him? Zach Schneider crossing the line with 1 minute 50 seconds left in overtime. That puts him in P2, right above Luke Lizama with a 140.925. Oh, wow, that is right at the last second. So your podium for your inaugural Season 17 race, Round 1 of Odyssey Racing League GT Americas: Andrew Rados, P1, Zach Schneider, P2, Luke Lizama, P3. We're going to go to a quick intermission. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back for the grid walk. And we are back, racing fans, for round 1 of Odyssey Racing League GT America's Season 17 at the beautiful and sunny Kyalami. It is 28 degrees Celsius here on the track in South Africa, 31 degrees Celsius specifically on the track. However, that does not let your leader, the number 82, Andrew Rados, let that temperature affect him one bit. In pole position, the number 82 Honda. In P2, the number 15 Aston Martin, Zach Schneider for Noobs R Us. In P3, the number 11 Luke Lizama for ORL Racing. The nice, very beautiful orange and blue Odyssey Racing League colors. In P4, Nicolas Mendez, the number 756 Aston Martin for Noobs R Us, P4 for them. P5, Chase Jones for Baller Squad Racing, the number 105 Aston Martin. Was in the top 3, but at the last second lost the podium position to Zach and Luke Lizama there. P6, Clayton Filsinger for Odyssey Esports Team, the number 615 Porsche in P6. Right next to him, Phil Cryotheos for Odyssey Esports, the number 81 Porsche from Down Under in P7. In P8, Michael Moleda, your leader for the rookies. The number 72 McLaren in provisional pole for the rookies, P8 overall. P9, Andre Streman. The number 71 Lamborghini Huracan Evo squared in P9 overall. P10, Nick Kanya. The number 506 Aston Martin. And a very nice... Is that a teal? It's like a teal aqua... is it blue-green or green-blue? That's what tells me if it's aquamarine or teal. And I'm so terrible. I didn't pass kindergarten. I'm so sorry about the color. Please message me. But it's I love the color. It's great. In P11, Alex Cruz, the number 12 Honda in P11. P2 for the rookies overall. The number 59 Porsche lined up right next to him. Dean Solomon, P12. P13, Adam Taraj, the number 271 Aston Martin for Breckham Race Team. P14, the number 54 Nissan, driven by Levi Jennings for Cerberus Virtual Racing. P15, the number 987 BMW, driven by Carl Banning for Crazy Eights. That is Carl Banning also in the lead and a provisional pole leader for the amateur drivers. Joe Ligioso, for the 951 McLaren in P16. P17, Devin Anthony for Wreckham Race Team, the number 664. In P18, the number 331 BMW, driven by Rob Obrochta. Rob, the winner of the amateur class last season, season 16. Now season 17, a freshly pro license was given to him. So he's going to be joining the pros this season, and we're going to be keeping an eye on him and hope he has a great season here. P19, Miguel Cizeron, the 999 Aston Martin. The very nice matte dark blue color. I do like that color as well. So nice. In P20, the number 83 Porsche, driven by Robert Logan. Right behind him, Ian Demler for number 13 Porsche. In P22, Richard Harknett, in the number 66 Porsche, right behind them. Nice little Porsche train there. Chad McLean, P23, the number 45 BMW. Adrian Vargas for GTE Esports, Galaxy Team Esports, the number 69 Ferrari. Tim Gargle Some Water, the number 660 McLaren in P26. P27 right behind him, Jack Flores in the 34 Audi. Drew Jensen, number 19 McLaren in P28. Jean-Francois Drapeau, the number 105 Porsche in P29. David Alicia from Noobs Are Us, the double 8 Aston Martin from Puerto Rico in P30. P31, Inez Spector, number 24 Ferrari, P31. P32, Shane Sullivan in the Ford Mustang. P33, Ryan Chanley in the number 67 Aston Martin. Jean Malo in the Nissan GTR, specifically the Godzilla Nissan GTR, the number 85 in P34. Ryan Bishop, number 78 McLaren in P35. Nicholas Woods, the number 7 Mercedes AMG, and I believe one of the only Mercedes AMGs on track. Actually, I said corrected as the last but not least, we do have Abdul Rauf for Claymore Racing Mercedes, the number 23 Mercedes to be exact, in 37th place. So we did a nice little grid walk there. As we see the drivers now line up side by side as they come up to the final turns, where we will wait for the green lights and the green flag to drop to also signal the start of Season 17 at Odyssey Racing League for GT Americas. My name is Christian Julian. I also go by Koju. Thank you so much for joining us as we wait for anticipation for the start. Lining up side by side, we are on board still with the number 82, Andrew Rados, as we wait for the green flag to drop. And the green light, there's the green light, the green flag, boogity, 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 let's go racing! As we see 2x2, if not 3x3, coming out of the first turn, now coming into the first braking zone of Cawthorn. We see 2x2, if not 3x3, going in the middle. Phil Cryotheos trying to make a move on the inside of the Noobs Are Us Aston Martin. A little bit of bumping there between the Ferrari and one of the Aston Martins. Andrew Rattles able to get a nice clean getaway there in the beginning. Zach Schneider right behind him. Luke Lozamo still behind him as well. Some contact between him and Chase Jones. However, Chase Jones not able to get that spot, and actually maybe even losing a spot there to Nicolas Mendez, who's moving up now one spot. I did see and I did hear a car go off track there, so we do have a couple of cars that are yellow flagged there in the back. And it does look like they've taken a little bit of a beating as we now come through Sunset and into turn 7, known as Clubhouse. Some of these cars are going to be settling down now, but we are going to be seeing skirmishes there in the back, as we do see still side-by-sides coming into turns 8 and 9, known as the S's. Levi Jennings settling in nicely now, the number 54 Nissan, trying to make a move on the outside, but sees that there is Ian Demler, who tries to make a move on the inside there of the number 664. And unfortunately, a little bit of door bang in there, and that makes him slow down too much. And he's not able to get that speed to make that overtake. Drivers moving up spots and a couple of moving down. Devin Anthony moving down a number of spots, unfortunately for them. That's 5 spots. Robert Logan and losing 14. Cryotheos and Clayton Filsinger as well. So it looks like they were all caught up in some sort of incident coming out of the first couple of turns. Now we do see Levi Jennings maybe trying to make a move on the inside of the Porsche. If not, the number 331 BMW is going to have to make some sort of move to get around this beast of a car. Moves being made. Clayton Filsinger, Phil Cryotheos trying to carve their way through the field here as we see them bumping and squirreling. They're out of the exit of turn 9. Hitting your left-hand tires inside of that grasscrete area is going to start bumping your car, especially if you take a little bit too much curb there. Stephen Buckley, you missed a sign-up notification. Just registered. See you next week at Imola. Dude, oh man, yeah, you barely missed it. Please, yeah, come back for Imola. It's gonna be, Imola's one of my favorite tracks, so you're gonna also love it as well, if you don't love it already. It's such close racing and such great racing there. I hope to see you there, Stefan, excuse me. Robert Gorchta, the number 331 BMW, moving up 6 spots total, now into P12, as we do see penalties being handed out to some of the drivers. Now a drive-through for the number 83. As we wait for the rest of the penalties, if any, to come in. Adrian Vargas moving up 9 spots. Richard Harknett moving up 8 spots. Abdul Rauf moving up 13 spots. All of these drivers taking great decisions, making great decisions, and capitalizing on the mistakes of drivers in front of them to make up all of those spots. However, this is a 45-minute sprint left. It's only been less than 5 minutes. So there is more than enough time for drivers to make up for any mistakes that they make. As well as those 45 minutes, we do have a 25-minute pit window that should be opening up within the next 5 minutes or so. You're not allowed, the rules at Odyssey Racing League, you're not allowed to pit within the first 10 or the last 10 minutes. You must take fuel. It is a fixed fuel time of 25 seconds. Tires are not required. So you may take tires if you like. If you don't want to and you want to save some time, you're more than welcome to do that as well. In P3, fighting for the lead as well, because we can see them in visual range. Andrew Rados, the number 82 Honda, leading the race so far was Zach Schneider in the number 15 Aston Martin, and Luke Lizama right behind him in the number 11 Ferrari. All three of those cars within visual distance of each other. Even seeing the number 756 driven by Nicolas Mendez, you can see him within visual distance. All these cars less than 2 seconds from each other, so any little mistake here can ruin your race as well. Some of these drivers may start to think about a different pit stop strategy, as the pit stop is a lot longer now. So it's going to be interesting to see which of these drivers stays out on track the longest. Kyalami, I believe, a track where the overcut is more valuable than the under. So we are going to see how that plays out for the drivers here. I do have a possible overtake alert, as we did move over. Drew Jensen in the number 19 McLaren tried to go around the outside on turn 10 Lecop there, unfortunately hitting the grass and slowing himself down, and that is not going to be conducive to a good overtake there. So number 23 AMG and Abdul Rauf able to keep that P22 spot. We have a 10-second time penalty to the number 81 for causing a collision. William Figgins in the chat. Let's go NRUS drivers and VSR. So big shout out to the Noobs Are Us and Baller Squad Racing drivers from William Figgins. As we move over to Michael Moletta, who looks like he's on the back bumper of Nick Kanya. Nick trying to make that Aston Martin as wide as possible. However, it may look like the 720S driven by Mikhail might be able to make the move there. Trying to make the move stick on the inside. Is he going to make it along the braking zone? Gets alongside, door to door. A little bit of banging there in the middle of the turn. However, taking the spot now in P7. The number 72 McLaren. However, Nick in the Aston Martin not so far out. Bumper banging there. As we do see some bumper kisses being handed out between both drivers here. It's going to be an interesting fight. Justin Moffat in the chat. Rados is going to take it. Oh, interesting prediction. Andrew Rados in the lead still, only a second in front of Zach Schneider, who's a second in front of Luke Lizama. So that may or may not be a pit battle. Excuse me, I'm going to say a pit victory. But he may win or lose the race based on the pit stop. And I'm all for it. Any little change, any little variable that happens in racing, it's just racing is racing. That's all. That's what it's about. Jean Milo in the Nissan GTR getting a great run behind Sean Sullivan. Excuse me, that's Pat Helger in the 141 Ford Mustang, who goes wide on the entrance of turn 1 and unfortunately leaves the door wide open for the Nissan. So that's number 85 Nissan slipping in to P27 now. Oh, I do agree, Justin. He's got to nail that pit stop. It's got to be right on the money. Because I think if he stays out, I don't know if he stays out, will he stay in the lead? I think it's going to be a close call. It's like right before you hit traffic, just pit first and just hopefully no one pits behind you and you just get out with clean air. as John Malot tries to make that Nissan wide as possible now, coming through the S's. Pat Helgert still on their back bumper as he takes a very, very wide defensive line, making Pat go along and around the outside, which we all know is the farthest part. Carl Banning now trying to defend against Tim Gargle Some Water. Tim Gargle Some Water, the number 660 McLaren there. Actually, we did see Carl Banning make a move on Miguel Cicerone. It does look like extensive damage on the front end of that Aston Martin. A little bit of damage here on the BMW. Yeah, we do see the Aston Martin pitting early. So that's going to be to repair some damage. And that does put a little bit of a stay on the battle that we did have here on our screen. So let's move to a different battle here. Chase Jones in the number 109 Aston Martin on the back bumper of Nicolas Menendez. Nicolas lost his way a little bit from the lead pack there. A cushion of 3 seconds between him and the provisional P3 driver, Luke Lozama. But Chase Jones on the back bumper, trying to apply pressure to the Noobs R Us driver, making sure that they make the mistake and lose their position. That is a 15-second time penalty handed out to the number 617 for causing a collision due to an unsafe rejoin. We do have a time penalty handed out to the number 664 for causing a collision as well, for avoidable contact, excuse me. So interesting that you actually asked that, Stefan. This season, season 17, is our first season where we have a new internal BOP. So we are foregoing the LFM BOP, and we have created our own internal BOP. I believe the Lexus does have a BOP, but to get you the exact number, I would have to ask the stewards, and they will get back to me on that. So let me get back to you. Specifically on the BOP for the Lexus. I could give it to you for what we would have given it for Kyalami, but we do have now the ORL BOP. Instead of LFM BOP, we now use our in-house ORL BOP. As we see Chase Jones still applying pressure to the Noobs R Us driver, makes a quick move on the inside at the last second in the braking zone, makes it stick. Chase Jones, the number 105 Aston Martin, now moves up into P4. Nicolas Menendez, it looked like he may have got caught off guard there coming into the Crocodiles because he just left the door a little bit too far, a little bit too open, allowing the number 109 Aston to just slip right in. That is the Honda of Alex Cruz leaving the pits, causing a little bit of traffic now. There's going to be some pit traffic as we do have our official pit window is open. So that means the drivers are allowed to finish their mandatory pit stop. We do have one official mandatory pit stop per race at Odyssey Racing League. And you can tell if the driver has elected to finish their pit stop by the orange number 1. You can see that on the left hand side of your tree. We have a orange background, white number 1. That means you have one mandatory pit stop to complete. Once that box turns to green, it'll be a green box. That means that the mandatory pit stop is complete and you do not have to go to the pits anymore. So the tree is going to be shaking itself up a little bit as we see people diving in and out of the pits. Dean Solomon, the number 59 Porsche, on the back bumper of Levi Jennings in the number 54 Nissan Machinery. I believe the Nissan is the only Japanese... No, excuse me. I lied. The Honda. For some reason, I always think Honda and Acura are American, but they're not. They are Japanese. So the Honda and the Nissan, the only Japanese and Asian representatives here on the grid. The Nissan known to throw out dirty air. So Dean Solomon is going to have to make with what he has, or make do with what he has to get around the big hulking Godzilla that is the Nissan GTR. A 15-second time penalty handed out to both the number 12 and the number 45 for causing collisions. I do agree, Stefan. The Nissan GTR is a great car. It's actually the car that I started off with here in ACC, and I still drive it on occasion in open lobbies. The thing is, as soon as I joined ACC, that's when LFM started moving away from the GTR in terms of BOP. So even the private leagues started moving away from it. They didn't bop it, like they didn't allow it. So I also had to move away from the GTR just to stay relevant. Makes me sad still. I probably should have stayed with it. It's such a great car. Clayton Filsinger in the number 615 Porsche applying pressure to Jag Flores in the Audi. Clayton Filsinger had an unfortunate accident in the beginning of the race, so that threw him down some spots, and we're going to be seeing potentially a great recovery drive from the number 615. They have also completed their pit stop, so Clayton Filsinger does not have to return to the pits and can continue staying out on track. So the undercut here may be to his advantage. However, we do have 27 minutes, 26 seconds left in the race. And that is more than enough time for anything to happen. Luke Lizama. The number 11 Ferrari, non-stop on the back of Zach Schneider. Zach having to defend for almost the last 20 minutes on his own. Zach Schneider, oh my goodness, breaks a little bit too deep and a little bit too late. And the number 7 and the number 15 Aston Martin unfortunately gives up the spot. Luke Lizama capitalizing on the mistake. The number 11 moving up into P2 now, setting his sights on the number 82 Honda driven by Andrew Rados. With only 1.5 seconds between them. Zach Schneider's not going to be happy about that mistake. However, less than a second between him and Luke, more than enough distance between them to come up with something there. As the number 11 actually does start pulling off a little bit there. Luke Lizama, great move on the inside. Able to make it stick. As we do see Drew Jensen leaving the pits, creating a little bit of chaos for the drivers behind them in Chase Jones and Nicolas Menendez. We can see them there in the back of your screen as we keep our eyes still on the fight for the lead. Oh, camera person. Okay, thank you. Actually, as we were talking about that, Drew Jensen able to catch up to Richard Harknett in the number 66 Porsche. Richard Harknett now having to defend against not only him, but maybe an Aston Martin by the looks of it. Actually, no, that Aston Martin is a blue flag. And I believe that is the Aston Martin of... Oh, that's the 156. excuse me, the 756. So that is Menendez. Fastest time on track, 140.892, being held by your race leader, Andrew Rados, number 82, Honda NSX. Luke Lezama, you're first in the top 3 to dive into the pits. So that's going to be throwing him down in the standings. However, 14 minutes left in the official pit timer as Nicolas dives in the inside. Might have been a little bit of a push there. However, the 66 is blue flag, so they will be having to give that position up within 2 sectors, as we do see it happen here. So Luke Lezama, one of the first of the podium, or even top 5, top 10 even. First within the top 10 to dive into the pits. As we do also see Levi Jennings, the number 54 Nissan, in the pits, completing their pit stop. Andrew Rados still in the lead. Zach Schneider in P2. Chase Jones moving on up to P3. Pat Helgert in the number 141 Mustang, feeling some of the pressure being pushed on him by the number 987 BMW, and a mistake potentially by the Ford Mustang, allowing now Carl Banning to take that position. The number 987 moving up a spot and pushing Pat into P27. I do believe the number 97 also has a blue flag, so they must give their position up to the blue flag car within 2 sectors. Number 88, Aston Martin, in the pits, serving their official pit stop. Will the number 987 encounter some traffic on the exit? Let's keep an eye out. They should not be fighting the number 951, diving deep into the corner, allowing the number 951 to get past them. Nicholas Woods in the Meme Dream Racing Team GT3, the number 7 AMG to be exact, on the back bumper of Inez Spector. Inez Spector in the 24 Ferrari to be exact. Let's see who gets a better run there. AMG 5.3 liter V8, if I remember correctly. So that V8 power is more than enough to catch up to the twin turbo V6 that the Ferrari has. Carl Banning making a move on the inside of David Alicia. David just coming out of the pits, so colder tires, colder brakes. Carl Banning stayed out for a little bit longer. So Carl's going to have the fresher or the more rubbered in tires, a little bit more grip for them. Our leader still is Andrew Rados, the number 82 Honda NSX. 10 minutes, 33 seconds left in the pit window. 20 minutes, 30 seconds left in the race, to be specific. Oh, a little bit of contact there, it looks like, between the number 987 and the Godzilla GTR. I'm going to let the stewards look at that one, because from our camera angle, it did look like there was contact. The Number 71 Lamborghini driven by Andre in P8 right now. Excuse me, P10. Right on the back bumper of Chase Jones, the number 109 Aston Martin from Baller Squad Racing. Our top 5 to 6 drivers still have not taken their pit stop, as we do see some of the bottom drivers have. We're still missing the number 67 and the number 660 still need to take their pit stops, as well as everyone in the top 6. Drew Jensen using his Go-Go Gadget extendo arm, trying to get as close as he possibly can to Alex Cruz in the Honda. However, the Honda being as slippery as it can be, getting a little bit of a cushion between them and Drew Jensen, trying to catch up to the slipstream Alex is of Adam Taraj in front of them, the number 271 Aston Martin, to complete this small skirmish that we do have here. As the race continues and we still see these battles happening on our screen, I do want to give a quick shout out to our patrons. If you head on over to patreon.com/Odyssey Racing League, you too can join us there and help us bring these amazing races to you, the viewer. You can also join us in racing. If you want to race with us here at Odyssey Racing, you can join our Discord, discord.gg/Odyssey Racing League. As well as find us on the Sim Grid, where you can sign up and join us here on track. I wanted to give a quick shout out to our patrons: Matt Hugh, Julius Tan, Nicholas Woods, Abdul Rauf, Derek Anderson, Joel Price, Jose Hernandez, Nate Schreiber, Neil Baravotes, Sven Goose, Jose Kaiser, Bill Cryodios, Robbie Sordaezer, Marcos Pimentel, and Dean Solomon. Thank you very much, each and every one of you, for your patronage. Without you, we wouldn't be able to keep the servers going, and we wouldn't be able to bring you these awesome prize pools that we do have. Also, a special shout out to our live stewards. In case you didn't see, we do have live stewards here at Odyssey Racing League. They are at every single one of our races, handing out penalties as they see them applied or happen during the race. As we do see a blue flag out there in front for the cars in front, Luke Lozama in the number 11 Ferrari in P5. After going into the pits early, maybe a great strategy decision for him now in P5. First 3 drivers in front of him still need to pit, except for the number 756 Aston Martin, which does not. Luke Lozama, great move along the outside there. Now in P4, Nicolas Menendez and Zach Schneider, 2 Noobs Are Us Aston Martins, trying to take that position back and get into the top 5 spots. Both Aston Martins side by side, trying to come up with a strategy to get past the number 11. However, the number 11 says, heck no, we won't go, and is staying gatekeeping the top 5, or top 4, excuse me. Andrew Rados completed their pit stop, coming out of the pits now. With a great cushion in front of him, that's going to be keeping Andrew Rados in the lead. Phil Cryotheos and Adrian Vargas in the pits are going to be losing their podium spots, and that puts Luke Lozama in P2 overall, with Zach Schneider right behind him in P3. Not too far off his teammate Nicolas Menendez. in P4, and Chase Jones, the number 105 Aston Martin, to round off your top 5 in P5. John Malone in the number 141 Ford Mustang, trying to make a switchback work coming into turns 10 and 11. However, the double left-handers there didn't let that happen, and so he's going to have to stay behind the Nissan GTR, try to get a slipstream as the Nissan brakes a little bit early on the inside and actually allows the 141 to go around the outside. However, the 141 may have gone too far deep and is now going to be losing spots, unfortunately, to Carl Banning, who's able to slip on in. The number 987 BMW makes a move and is now fighting against Pat Helgert there, coming out of the last turn. The number 15 Aston Martin also trying to carve their way through. That is a blue flag car, if I remember correctly. So we do have a battle here for P27 and 26, while we have the leaders trying to carve their way through this battling traffic. 141 Mustang breaks really deep into the corner, allowing the blue flags to go by. However, that is going to be putting a quick stay to our battle here. But this does shift the battle up the tree. Now Nicolas Menendez, with their eye on the prize up, and that prize being in the top 3 spots. What they have to do, though, is they have to get through their teammate, the number 15 Aston Martin, to get into the podium there. As we do see blue flags flying, this is going to be a little bit of a mayhem situation for the next couple of turns for these battling drivers. As we still keep an eye on the tree, Andrew Ratto's still the fastest time on track, 141.147 for them. They also have a 12-second lead in front of the P2 driver, Luke Lezama. So that is 13 seconds between P1 and P2. And Luke Lezama, a 3-second lead in front of Zach Schneider. As we do see Carl Banning giving up the spot there to the blue flagged car. 2 minutes left in the official pit window, and I believe that is everybody inside of the pits that has not already completed their pit stop. So we should be good to go there. Do see the AMG of Nicholas Woods giving way to the other drivers there in turn 1. Some action happening here. Clayton Filsinger moving up into P8 with Levi Jennings and Mikhail Moleta fighting it out, trying to get out of P10 and higher up in the standings. It does look like Mikhail lost both of those spots, allowing Clayton and Levi to slip on in. Clayton Filsinger, a great recovery drive from him, pushed down all the way into, I believe, the 20s due to an unfortunate accident there in the first couple of turns of lap 1. However, P8 for Clayton Filsinger, not where he wants to be. However, a valiant effort from the Odyssey Esports driver. And with that, our official pit window is closed. And no, oh, what happened? We had a McLaren Beyblade coming out of the final turn, turn 15, or not, the second and final last turn, turn 15, known as Cheetah, hitting the concrete wall on the inside, almost at the entrance of the pit stop. However, a great recovery pirouette by the number 72, Mikhail Moleta, still keeps him in P10. So not losing a spot there. Great recovery by the driver of the number 72 McLaren. However, that does allow Dean Solomon to creep up and potentially make his way up into the top 10 if the number 72 makes another mistake like that. Chase Jones almost sniffing the fumes of the Aston Martin in front of him. Will he make a move on the inside again? No, he does not. A squirrely exit by Jean-Francois, and that's going to allow the number... That's Robert Logan, yeah, the Robert Logan in number 83 Porsche allows him to get on by there and create a little bit of distance, as well as the traffic that is now in the middle of them. That is the number 69, I believe. Side by side coming into sunset, door banging action here. Chase Jones on the inside makes the move stick. Nicolas Menendez leaves the door a little bit too wide, leaves enough room for that second Aston Martin to get through. Chase Jones now into the top 4. Nicolas not allowing that move to go without an answer though. Right behind him, bumper to bumper, trying to defend and keep his teammate covered. Another move along the inside. The number 109 Aston Martin makes it stick. Chase Jones now passing the number 756 Aston Martin, who as well went too deep into turn 10 and just outbrakes himself. Chase Jones up into P4 now, the number 109 Aston Martin for Baller Squad Racing, making money moves. Now, as we keep an eye on this battle, I do want to move over to a small little segment that I like to call Money Makers and Money Donators. So our Money Makers are the drivers that have gained the most positions tonight, and the Money Donators are the drivers that have lost the most positions tonight. With 6 minutes, 5 seconds left in round 1 of season 17, Odyssey Racing League GT Americas. Right now, our money maker for tonight looks to be Mr. Abdul Rauf in the number 23 Mercedes AMG, up 17 spots so far. So congratulations to Abdul, you are the money maker for tonight. And the money donator for tonight will unfortunately be the number 999 Mercedes AMG driven by Miguel Cizeron, losing 13 spots, started in P19, now in P32. William Figgins says, that sounds like a nickname, Chase Money Moves Jones. That could potentially be a nickname, but if he does keep it, just make sure you credit me for the nickname. I don't think I want royalties or anything right now so far, but just let me know. Let me know what happens if you keep the nickname. Clayton Pilsinger with a hell of a recovery drive, now having to defend against the number 54 Nissan GTR, driven by Levi Jennings. The Nissan GTR, we know, a powerhouse when it comes to straights. So we're going to see if the Porsche 992 can make anything happen. Coming into the braking zone, Levi Jennings not able to make it side by side. Coming through Sunset, Carl Banning on the back bumper of Tim Gargle some water. Tim going a little too wide on the entrance, allowing more than a car's width of space there on the inside of Clubhouse, allowing Carl Banning to get in there and take that P22 spot. Oh, thank you, William. I appreciate that. Great nickname, too. The Cerberus virtual racing driver not going down without a fight, still trying to get past Clayton Filsinger in the 615 Porsche. As we do move on over to our leader here, Andrew Rados, in the number 82 Honda NSX Evo. Depending on where you are in the world, it's either Honda NSX Evo or the Acura NSX Evo. Even depending on which sim you drive. In this sim, it's the Honda. In iRacing, it's the Acura. I believe in Race Room, it's also the Acura. Or AMS2, excuse me, Automobilista 2. I believe it's also the Acura. So I think this is the only game that calls it the Honda, which is interesting. But I believe that's what has to do with SRO and GT World Challenge. So close to bumper bump in action. Clayton Filsinger trying to make the number 506 Aston Martin sweat. Able to make it stick though through the S's. The 615 Porsche slipping on through the Aston Martin. However, the Aston Martin gets a really good run side by side coming into turn 10. Who wants it more? Bump! Oh, from behind! Levi Jennings with a bump and run on the 615 Porsche. Levi Jennings, the number 54 Nissan, unfortunately breaks a little bit too deep or not enough. Eats the back bumper of the 615 Porsche that pushes them off the track. Oh no! Clayton Filsinger is not going to be happy about that. That gives the number 506 a little bit more breathing room. Nick Kanya in the 506 Aston Martin not really have to defend as tough as he did now, but has to defend against Levi Jennings, who is now less than a second behind him. That was such close racing between the three. And oh, just a small little mistake, and it just, oh my goodness. A small little mistake like that can just ruin the moment. Not to say it was done on purpose, but just braking a little bit too deep, like biting a little bit more than you can chew. And no offense to Levi Jennings here, but that's just how racing is. Sometimes it just happens. You feel like you're really good going into the braking zone, you brake a little bit too less, or maybe you let go a little too early and you just bump. You bump uglies, as they say. Crossing the finish line for the second to last time, your race leader, the number 82 Honda NSX Evo, driven by Andrew Rados, on the final lap. As our timer winds down to big fat goose eggs, quadruple zeros across the board. we wait for the final lap. Levi Jennings was along the inside there, except looks like he gave it up. This may be the white flag for some of these drivers because they are behind the leader. As no, they crossed the finish line. They have a white flag. They have one lap left. So they're going to be battling until the end. Actually, we just missed it. There was a battle happening coming into the final turn. Levi Jennings trying to squeeze in from the outside, trying to make a move and trying to be on the inside of the next turn. However, not able to make it stick. Might have pushed the 506 a little bit there. However, relatively clean. Now it's just a drag race coming into sunset. And it does look like Levi Jennings able to make it past. Levi Jennings moving up into P7. However, something that I also want to take note now, coming through Cheetah and the final turn, the number 82 Honda NSX Evo and your race winner, Andrew Rados. Congratulations, taking the checkered flag for round 1 of season 17 Odyssey Racing League GT Americas. Congratulations to Andrew Rados. Right behind him, not too far off, the number 11 Luke Lizama for Odyssey Racing League. P2 for Luke Lizama. Zach Schneider in the number 15 Aston Martin. Right behind him, P3 for Noobs Are Us. Chase Jones, Baller Squad Racing, just missing out on the podium. The number 109 Aston Martin, P4. Nicolas Menendez, P5, was fighting for contention of the podium. However, not able to make it stick in the end. P6 goes to Andre Streman for MA70 Esports in the Lamborghini. Levi Jennings, P7 for the Nissan GTR for Cerberus Virtual Racing. P8 for Nick Kanya, the number 506 Aston Martin. P9 Clayton Filsinger, the number 615 McLaren, Porsche. P10 Dean Solomon, the number 59 Porsche. Rounding off your top 10, we do have a 15-second time penalty to Levi Jennings, the number 54 Nissan, so that it is going to be throwing him down a couple of spots, so that will most probably putting him in actually P10. So that's going to be moving Nick Kanya, Clayton Filsinger, and Dean Solomon up a spot. Mikhail Moleta, your winner for the rookies tonight, P11 overall, however, P1 for the rookies. And if we go down, Adrian Vargas crossing the finish line, the number 69 Ferrari, your winner for the amateur drivers, P15 overall, however, winning for the AMs. Congratulations to Adrian Vargas, your winner for the amateurs. Mikhail Moleta, your winner for the rookies. And your top 3 drivers, your winner for the pros and overall winner, Andrew Rados. In P2, Luke Lizama. And P3, Zach Snyder. As we wait for the rest of the cars to cross the finish line, we might see a couple of cars doing donuts. Actually, we don't. And that is the end of round 1 for Odyssey Racing League GT Americas Season 17. That is it from us here in the booth and from Odyssey Racing League. On behalf of Odyssey Racing League, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Christian Julian. I also go by Koju. Don't be afraid to message us in the Discord or in the chat. Let us know how we did. Please also don't be afraid to like this live stream, this video, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget as well, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live next time for round 2 of Odyssey Racing League GT America Season 17. I was about to say Paul Ricard, but it's actually not Paul Ricard. we are going to be heading over to Italy for one of my favorite tracks here on ACC, Imola. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your night.